What's good? Peace, family. It's take two. I won't even lie to you. This is my second take of this because the first one I kind of stomping over my words just a little bit. I'm not an orator. I'm a writer. So this making videos, speaking to people like this is not my territory. I might got a voice for radio, but I got I got the face for radio, baby. Okay now. So inadvertently, I can't take no credit for this. Inadvertently, this month I've been seeing a crazy uptick. It might just be my algorithm, but I've been seeing a crazy uptick and black content creators, non-white content creators, raising up the subject of White History Month. They don't call it that, and that's cool. I think it might look like Wakanda. It's like a lot of things like that. We can keep it on the hush. That's all right. I'm not a super famous person. I may never be a super famous person, to be completely honest with you. But for the people that rock with my books, the people that want to see the message out there, I really appreciate y'all from the bottom of my heart. But I've been seeing a major swing and a major uptick in black content creators, non-white content creators creating white history content. Talking about where white people come from, talking about the beginnings of white people, talking about the origins of white people, talking about a lot of the historical accuracies between the modern day conditions and the modern day manipulation, pandering that white people do now to what they've done in the past. And as I have said, it completely exposes these people. Let me explain to you one more thing that white people have done that has been perhaps the most brilliant, the most powerful mechanism of racist white supremacy. At the end of slavery, towards the tail end of slavery, you had a major increase in immigration coming to America. These immigrants that came to America did not know American history. I just ate breakfast, baby. I'm sorry about that. Yeah, they rock with that for like 2 minutes, and you still watching this? You a real one. Thank you. So I didn't even see that. I didn't even see that until I got it on my beard. But they brought all these immigrants to America. What's the goal of the immigrant? The goal of the immigrant is to gain white validation. The goal of the immigrant is to get a paycheck. The goal of the immigrant is to assimilate to white society. What is white society when you ain't considered white? It's being a slave, right? It's being the underling. But you need the permanent underclass. So since socially, you still have power over black people. Economically, now they're allegedly free. Allegedly, they have to make their own decisions now. You're going to give that a few more decades until you figure out what to do with that. So you have immigrants coming in who are not white. They're not black. This is your soil. This is your territory. You're the dominant culture. So most of these immigrants that come to this country, even though they face discrimination too, even though they face racism as well, every immigrant, including the African, including the Caribbean immigrants, have all been anti-black racists. Because they don't want to be, they don't want to admit immigrants are the underclass. Immigrants are the ones that come to this country with no rights, no ties to the land whatsoever, taking the jobs that the slaves did not want anymore. You don't like that version of the story, so instead you turn into white assimilation, American assimilation, through being an anti-black white supremacist. How'd that work out for you? We're talking about something that started in 1870 maybe. You get that about 30 years, 55 years. You're in about 100, 125, like 1925, another 100, so 125, 155 years, just about. What has that done for you? My math is off on that, I apologize. I'm trying to go from 1870 to 2025. I got 155 years for that. If I'm wrong on that, text down below in the chat. But I got 155 years for that off the top of my head. 1870 to now, what was the major improvement? What was the major change in the fundamental slave society that America was built on? Let's not bring race into this for 2 seconds. Okay. You have the fundamental slave society that America was built on. You had a policy saying that people can only be enslaved now, not by any other reason, but through basically being a prisoner of war, which we were already on this soil because we were prisoners of war, because you were colonizing Africa and you were colonizing the Caribbean at the exact same time you were enslaving African citizens. So we are prisoners of war. We are here from being prisoners of war. What was the major societal improvement in American society that ended the slave societal culture that you lived in? The way that white people were divided and manipulated to keep them from currying favor with the blacks, unifying with the blacks, and then you viciously, violently assault, or now verbally assault, any white person that associates with black people, any non-black person that associates with white person. It's like, you gotta understand, when you're a black person, this is a global system of white supremacy that you have to face. You're not dealing with simply white supremacy in the deep Jim Crow South of America, because now in 2025, those are a lot of the I'm saying countries as if Texas is its own country. I'm saying country as if the South is its own country. You know, my bad. These states have been dealing with racism for so long under a magnifying glass, under a global magnifying glass. That's why you got a lot of people moving back down south, moving to Texas, moving to North Carolina. You don't got the same kind of societal shift in the North because the northern slavery in America went completely ignored. People acted like they got this trap inside their mind that black folks escaped the Jim Crow South and there was no Jim Crow North. There was a Jim Crow North too, baby. Believe me, there was. There was slavery in the North too. So what you ended up really having is that you went, it's like going from, it's like World War II going from Germany to motherfucking Poland, or going from Germany to Italy, or going to Germany to Russia. It's all the same shit. It's all the same shit. They all doing the same thing. They all killing their own citizens. They all enslaving their own people. They all a bunch of tiny dick, fucking homoerotic men obsessed with power. All these effects are the same. So whether you in the South, whether you in the North, it's like going from Russia to Germany. It's like going from Germany to Italy. It's the same shit. They just talk a little funny. They just talk a little motherfucking different. So you got all these slaves that ran from the South to the North. They don't talk about how these people were recaptured into slavery in the North. They don't talk about northern slavery. They try to make it seem like the North was this utopia when there was no utopia on American soil. They get away with a lie on the basis of your ignorance, on the basis of the good person that they pretend to be, the white savior complex. You've done so much evil. You've done so much dirt. You're connected to so many crimes against humanity as an accomplice. Now you feel like John Valjean. Les Miserables. You feel like John Valjean now. Now you trying to recreate yourself. You trying to completely change your image of who you are as a person because you know you done some fuck shit. And then you try to make the people that try to expose the fuck shit you do, the people that know that you're a criminal, the people that know that you've committed crimes against humanity, you try to make them seem like the bad guy because you pretend to be some shit you're not. All you try to do is fit in with the other people around you. But you ain't make no real changes. At the end of the day, John Valjean put more people's life at risk because he would rather have escaped justice than to set all these young people free. So many lives that could have been avoided had he just turned himself in and faced reality. exposed who he was and told the truth. But he couldn't do that. That's not noble. That's not true. That's selfishness. When you're forefront about what you've done, you can be forefront about the changes that you've made in life. But when you can't admit the dirt you've done, you try to come out like you a brand new person that just hopped out of space, people are gonna make it their effort to expose you. We all done dirt. We all been dirty. Ain't nobody better than nobody, and that's the issue with this. How do the people that have committed more crimes than anybody else on the planet talk about criminality and violence? How does the group of people that killed more people, more human life on planet Earth, either through war or simply through their labor system, killed more people than anybody else, and fix your mouth to have some shit to say about human... Y'all need to really take several seats back and humble yourself. You should thank God that non-white people aren't as violent as white people are. You should thank God that non-white people aren't the criminals that white people are. Because if non-white people were anything that you accuse non-white people of being, where would the white people be? If we were these savage monsters like you all, we would have your birth rates. We would be 9% of the population. We would have killed ourselves into oblivion like you did. You murdered yourselves into oblivion. You bitch and moan about how women don't want to fuck you, but you hate women. You hate women. You hate women having an opinion. You hate women having their own ideas, their own thoughts, their own money. That's some weird shit. Yeah, that's some weird shit. And then you try to normalize it. You say black people are the most racist people on the planet. Nobody's more racist than black people. What have y'all honestly done to fix anything you've done to everything black people have done, they've had to literally fight for, scrape for, beg for, or do their goddamn selves, and then you come around and you destroy it. Because you can't exist in a world where anyone's better than you. It's not a reality of white supremacy. You're facing white mediocrity and white insecurity, baby. They don't want to see you better than them. They don't want to see you rise above them. They don't want to see you get any better than how they see you. They can't allow it. They don't have room for it in their ego. It would kill them in their sleep if they knew it. You simply going to school, having good health, taking care of your family, that destroys racist white supremacy. You sitting here trying to argue and debate with these motherfuckers like they making a good point. You keep the system alive because you make it seem like they making valid arguments. You make it seem like what you gotta say is equal to what they gotta say. When you hear these white people say some stupid shit, you just gotta kind of... Yo, man, I went to school. I feel where you're coming from, but I went to school. I don't see it that way. Put it like that. Make these motherfuckers so. And then they go, oh, you talking about the education system. You talking about having to go in these highfalutin liberal schools, teaching you critical thinking and researching and stuff. I'm just trying to have a conversation with you. I can't have no conversation that ain't built in fat, big dog. You got that one, all right? Keep moving the conversation forward. Stop getting so outraged by stupid people. Stop getting so outraged by lies. Stop getting so outraged by falsehoods. And that's hard to do unless you educate yourself, right? What the hardest thing for me to do when I was younger, when I would hear these racist things, and I felt like they were racist because they simply weren't true. They were accusing things and saying things and assuming things of an entire group of people, my motherfucking people, with no facts, no anecdotal evidence, no factual evidence, no research, just vibes. Just because they put you in this mind state that makes you more emotional, it makes it hard for you to access your own logic. You get so outraged by what they say that you go into a completely emotional state. When you attempt to debate, you attempt to argue with them, you attempt to correct them, because they don't want to be right. They just want you to be wrong. They don't care about righteousness. They don't care. If these people cared about truth and they cared about education, they wouldn't be racist. Let's be real for a second. That is the only thing that stops non-white people from doing the exact same thing that white people have done to us. We have education. Our parents prided us on having education. We were forced to get good grades. We had to learn the material. If the teacher was teaching some BS that didn't align with reality, our parents would educate, at least my parents would educate me outside of the school system. They would send me to places or put me around the people that would teach me the factual information so I wasn't out here groping in loss. A lot of your parents did not equip you to deal with racist white supremacy. A lot of your parents did not equip you to deal with capitalism. A lot of your parents did not equip you to deal with atheism. They did not equip you to deal with all these systems of discrimination. So since you feel ill-equipped and you feel ill-prepared, you feel like these people might be right. That's like taking a macroeconomics test. You ain't never take macroeconomics before, and you talking about macroeconomics is just racist. They just don't like me. You got to do your due diligence. You need to study your own history. You need to study who you are as a person. You need to study what you went through. I'm going to be the first one to tell you, you can't put it upon the racist white supremacists to educate you about racism. How would that make any sense to you? Why would the slave master teach you that they're a bad person? In the slave master eyes, you ain't even human. So anything they doing for you is a fucking charity, nigga. You sitting here waiting for this motherfucker to gain a consciousness. You sitting here waiting for this motherfucker. This motherfucker said they don't believe the descendants of the slave owners. I'm gonna put it like that. The descendants of the lynch mobs, the descendants of the slave owners, the descendants of the people that made all these laws said they don't believe in God. You out here saying it's a Christian nation. There's something wrong with you. You can't blame the system for your ignorance. The system only works because you're ignorant. You can't blame the system because you refuse to learn anything. You refuse to understand anything. You refuse to engage on the topic, the conversation, and have your own thoughts and perspectives of it. This shit affects your life. But you sitting here waiting for people that say they don't believe in God. They say they nihilist, nothing matters, nothing has any meaning. And you sitting here waiting for them to gain a consciousness. You sitting here waiting for it to stop. And you got the same level of education you had when you were 5. You got the same concept of racist white supremacy you had when you were 2 years old. You got the same concept of white people, despite everything you've learned in the world, when you were 1 year old, and it's nothing. I don't see color. Not seeing color is racism. When you take the color away from something, what color is it? You got a blank coloring page. I give you a coloring book right now, baby. I give you a coloring book right now. What color is the coloring book? There ain't no color on it. It's white, nigga. It's white and it's black, nigga. I don't see color means I see lightness and I see darkness. I see my ass as righteous and good, and I see your dark ass as evil. That's what the fuck not seeing color means. I mean, I see myself as the white savior. I see you as the black ass niggas that need saving. Ain't that what they do? Oh, they can't help it. They can't help being uneducated. They can't help being poor. They can't help being addicted to drugs. That's because they orchestrated the shit that way. They know you can't help it because they created the system. That's not a fucking conspiracy, nigga. That's history. Y'all, it's the dumb niggas that make everything seem like conspiracy. That's fact and reality. Because you don't want to do research. You don't want to change your mind. You don't want to change your habits. You don't want to change your perspective. You want to walk through evil. You want to walk through hell. And you want to complain that it ain't heaven. You put yourself in hell, nigga. You knew the decisions you were making. You knew they were lying to you. You knew 2 plus 2 equals 4. They out here telling you 2 plus 2 is 3, and you wondering why you poor. They out here telling you 2 plus 2 is fucking 4. And they call you crazy. You act like the people like me are the problem that see it, and we don't want to participate. I don't want to hang around a bunch of black Negropeans. I don't want to hang around a bunch of black people that want to be white. I don't want to hang around the white people. Why the fuck do I want to hang around a nigga cosplaying as the oppressor? Why do I want to be around a nigga and their only dream is becoming the oppressor? The only goal they have, the only goal in his woman's mind is she wants the same life that the oppressor's wife has. Get this out of here, man. You sitting here entertaining you think you less of a human because you ain't like the people that are bombing they dropped 2 fucking nuclear bombs on Japan, and they kids sitting here talking about Naruto, a blonde-haired Japanese person, talking about Bleach, a blonde-haired motherfucking Asian. Tell me how many motherfucking blonde-haired people in Asia, nigga. That's Nazism. You sit here acting like this shit's sweet. You sit here acting like this shit. Well, y'all worship Germans and y'all worship Japanese people. Y'all worship the Nazis. You killing Hitler does not destroy the mentality of a Nazi. They had to deprogram people that stayed and lived in Germany. They had to manually, that means themselves, not automatically, not just, I hope that one day racism ends. I know that we built our entire society upon slavery and racism, but I hope that one day it ends. They had to manually, forcibly deprogram people from being Nazis and put them through social ridicule for being a Nazi. America are the ones that inspired the Holocaust. Americans are the ones that inspired the Nazis, and they inspired Hitler. How the fuck is the inspiration that took all these people in? They took all these people in that were Germans. They sent the Israelis, they sent the Jewish people to the fucking Middle East. They put the Jewish people where they were already bombing motherfuckers. They were already colonizing motherfuckers in the Middle East. That's where they put the people that had just went through a Holocaust. They put the victims of the Holocaust in a brand new environment society they have never been before to fight for their lives. And they put the Germans on American soil. And you're wondering why the shit hasn't ended yet? It's because you don't want it to end. It's because, and let's be truthful and honest, a lot of black people don't want to be personally responsible for racism. It's a white people's problem, let me give you that. But you don't want to educate yourself about it. You don't want to learn anything about it. You don't want to figure out the history of it. You don't want to know how it affects you financially. You don't want to know how it affects you. You want to live a life just like the white supremacists, where you can't talk about the system that they created on purpose to oppress people on the basis of their skin color as a reality. You want to live in the fucking delusion that racism, this is the delusion that racism does not exist. And you're supposed to just get through life ignoring global racist white supremacy, global capitalism, and just pretend that you're supposed to work for $12 an hour and make it. You're supposed to work for $15 an hour and make it because you don't know math. Because for you, 2 plus 2 equals 1. And everybody else doing 2 plus 2 equals 4. But when you say 2 plus 2 equals 4, they look at you like you're crazy. They're not looking at you like you're crazy, brother. When you speak in truth to power, you know, they say, oh, wow, you're very articulate for a black man. What's that smile? What's that smile they do when they see you in the street? Right? So you think I'm making this shit up, right? No, they surprised that you made it. They're surprised you got this far. They're surprised you still alive. They're surprised you and them in the same... The way that this system was supposed to be set up, you were never supposed to be in the same room with these white people. You were never supposed to be in the same neighborhood as these white people. That's the way the system was shown. But you were also not supposed to consciously choose to live around your own. You were supposed to spend your whole life desiring to be like them, to be around them, to do everything that they've done. Because what is that? That's killing, destroying, and exploiting black people. So that's what we do to each other. We treat other black people like shit. We try to exploit other black people. We try to limit the humanity and the connection that we have to other black people so we can be like racist white supremacists. So if you wanted to know why are my black people racist white supremacists? Why are these immigrants racist white supremacists? Can you stop living in the delusion? Can you stop pretending like everyone doesn't have to act like a racist ass white person to survive? Can you stop pretending like people don't have to act like the oppressor just to get a paycheck, just to feed their family? Can you stop acting like the system ended? You made policies that affected certain components of the system. You did not want more black people coming to America. That is the only reason transatlantic slavery ended. The numbers were no longer working out in your favors, and with the number of slave rebellions and slave revolts that were happening, you could no longer control the black population. You had to stop importing black slaves into your country. That leads to the modern debate in 2025 about immigration and which immigrants can come to this country. It is the same goddamn argument they were having in the 1870s, and they've been having for the past 155 years. If my math is wrong, check it in the bottom. I want 2 + 2 to equal 4. I want 2 times 2 to equal 4. I'm not going to be in some bullshit with you. This ain't extremism. This is reality. This is the truth. This is living the life without the filtered delusion that everyone else is going through. And I don't expect everyone to get there overnight. It took a long time to get to this point, and it was not easy. There's a lot of nights I don't really sleep that well because I'm thinking about this shit. I'm thinking about this information. Knowledge increases sorrow. I got some shorter videos I want to do for y'all throughout the rest of the month. I really do want to reach and connect with y'all. I really do want to break bread with y'all, figure something out we could do together. We could either research this together, talk about it together, y'all make your own stuff, but I'm really grateful for the uptick in content that I've seen. And whether it's through me directly or indirectly, or if it's just in the ether, if it's just the algorithm, I appreciate seeing so many other black folks coming out. I don't want to cry, because that was a lot that I just talked about, and it don't not affect me talking about it. It don't not affect me knowing this stuff. I'm not telling you that you're going to learn this stuff and you're just going to instantly fucking feel better. I'm going to tell you that you're going to learn this stuff and you're going to understand how to navigate your life better, because you're not going to want to be anything like these people once you know what they're like, once you know where they come from, once you know what they've done, once you know the details about it. When you realize how calculated... So I think a lot of y'all think white people are stupid. I think a lot of you think white people are uneducated. I think a lot of you feel like this was all an accident. When you allow your psyche to accept how calculated, precise, and methodical everything that white people have done has been, you're talking about the Romans. You're talking about people that admire the Spartans. And you're treating them like they boo-boo the fool. The only way that you can view someone else as unintelligent is if you yourself were stupid. I know I'm not a dummy. My IQ's over 160. I know I ain't fucking stupid. So that doesn't allow for me to look at other people and see I can see the methodology. I can see what the fuck they're doing. Don't sit out here blind. You know, if you anti-woke, you probably a fucking dumbass anyway, so stay woke for real, but keep your eyes open. Keep your feet on the ground, keep your head on the clouds, and keep your eyes wide open, baby. But watch out for the sun, because the sun is coming.